Welcome to the Real Life Moms podcast, where we put ourselves at the top of our to-do list. I'm Lisa Foster, your host, and today I'm here with certified hypnotherapist and life coach Alix Hembery. And we are diving into what limiting beliefs are, where they come from, and how they affect our day-to-day lives. Hi, Alex. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Lisa. Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me on.
I'm so excited to have you on. And as we popped on, we see our cherry blossoms just blossoming in the background, which is like my favorite ever. So I love your wall back there.
Same.
I feel like mine needs to be bigger, but that's okay. It's all good.
It's just the bloom that matters.
Exactly. So let's just get started with exactly what is a limiting belief. People might not even
Ooh,
know what that is. So maybe
ooh,
let's
I
just
love
start
it.
chatting about
Yeah,
what are limiting beliefs? What is it?
let's just jump in.
Jump in.
So, limiting beliefs are core beliefs, right? So, they're these deep-seated assumptions that we have about ourselves, about the world, about how we fit into the world. In the name limiting, these are limiting core beliefs. So things that keep you from reaching your full potential, things that keep you from living your life to the best of your capabilities. So just ones that, we come across all the time. The kind of chatter in your head that tells you you're not good enough. Don't start that project. You're not going to be able to see it across the finish line anyway. If you did it, people wouldn't like it. Any feelings of anxiety, anything that is negative that comes sometimes deep down, and you're like, I can't stop that chatter, or I didn't even know that was in there, that comes from a limiting core belief.
And I didn't even know that was in there. Where does it come from? If like
Ooh.
where do who puts these in our mind that keeps rotating around? No, I can't do that. I'm not good
Yeah,
enough. I don't deserve this. All those
yeah,
things. Where do they even
absolutely.
start? Yeah, how do we get those in our head?
So, if you look at a lot of different psychological studies, we have Jeffrey Young and like this, the schema therapy, you have Montessori, who has the absorbent mind idea. Pretty much everyone says that from birth to about the age of 6 or 7 is when these kind of limiting beliefs really plant the seeds. I've had clients that have memories from in the womb. So I would actually say it might even go before that.
Yeah.
But this is children in this stage that's called theta brainwave dominance. They don't think in the ways that we do. Their brains don't have that development yet. And so anything that is spoken over them, anything that's told to them, anything that's happening in their environment, they really take that in. They're sponges, and something as simple as just getting told, what's wrong with you? The child takes that in. There's something wrong with me. Really, unfortunately, if something is going on with the parents, maybe they're abusive or maybe they aren't great parents or whatever, unfortunately, the child doesn't have the ability to understand that. The only thing they can understand is that I'm not enough, or else mommy would do this, or daddy
Mhm.
would be here more, or take your pick. Oftentimes, obviously, parents don't even know that they're doing the damage, but unfortunately, those core beliefs are getting formed.
And yeah, and it's not always okay. It's real
No.
life moms. We're not all blaming the mom.
Yeah. Oh,
But it's not
no.
always that. But you're right. Like sometimes it's even in utero. I had somebody talk to me about how their core belief, like they're not like almost wanted,
Oh,
started in womb.
yeah.
And so, yeah, it can definitely start from in there. But listen, teachers, school, other kids, all the things
Yeah,
start to
absolutely.
put into that basket.
Absolutely. And to your point, I should say, mom of two, no one is perfect. I lose it. I think there is the understanding that we're all trying our best. I have, of course, had clients who've had really traumatic backgrounds, moms that were drug addicts, dads that purposely left and never came back. That's different. I
Yeah.
think those of us who are just trying daily, I'm in no way, shape, or form trying to blame moms or dads. I think, especially our generation, I'm very proud of, because I feel like moms are in a bizarre moment in time where we're both healing, really understanding generational wounds, really understanding our limiting beliefs. And at the same time, we're raising children. It's a really phenomenal moment for us. We have so much on our shoulders. And I'm actually so proud of kind of the collective right now.
Yeah. And you mentioned like generational wounds, right?
Mm-hmm.
By actually working on your own belief system, which
Mm-hmm.
we'll talk about in a little bit, that does pass down
Yeah.
through our generations. Like us healing ourselves will
Mm-hmm.
then translate into our kids and the next generations and so on. So
Absolutely.
that's
Absolutely. Yeah.
important work, important and hard work, right?
Yes, yes, it is. The healing, the healing obviously is like a closing of cycles.
Mm,
So, for example, if you have generational wounds that leave you with this deep feeling of unworthiness, and you have children, and you start to understand when there's that gap between who your true self is and then understanding your patterns, your behaviors, but knowing that is not the real me. See that
mhm.
as separate from me, and I want to change it. You're closing a cycle and you're making sure that your children feel more than loved, that they feel worthy, they feel deserving, that they're going to be raised with an abundance mindset. It's a really beautiful growth.
Yeah, I love that. So these beliefs,
Mhm.
how do people start to notice them and how do they know they're showing up or holding them back in their lives? How do they show up in our life
How they
as,
show
you know,
up. Yeah,
yeah.
that's a really good question. I think that with everyone is different, right? Like I've had amazing healing with hypnotherapy. I also was experiencing something called secondary infertility, which hypnotherapy helped me with. So I've just had, I went into it because I saw how much it did for me. Having said that, there's so many healing modalities out there and there's different things for different people. Going back to your question, I think that sometimes as we get out of our teens, out and maybe in college, and we start to realize, hey, life isn't happening the way I want it to in my head. And maybe I don't know my pattern, but I know that
Mhm.
something is glitching. And I think that first thought first takes people to therapy. That's a fantastic first step. That was my first step. But I spent years in therapy and I realized that I was just talking in circles. I knew how I felt. I could tell you that without a problem. I wasn't changing behavior. But that therapy still, I wouldn't change it because it still helped me understand, okay, that gap that I was telling you about, I became
Mhm.
more aware of it. And then I started deep diving into how do I fix it? So I think
Mhm.
that's the first step. If anyone's looking at their lives and going, it's not going the way that I want it to because, and it has nothing to do with other people, at some stage you look at yourself and go, what could I do?
Yeah.
That's when you start doing the investigating.
Yeah. Okay, so how do we start uncovering these beliefs, these negative beliefs? This, because that's the one. We have beliefs. We really are looking at these negative ones that are wreaking havoc in our subconscious mind. They're
Right.
running the show. And we don't even know it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I can tell you my own personal
Sure.
story. So when I was doing the talk therapy, it's actually funny. The week that I realized this isn't working for me, I had my own therapy session, who had been seeing that therapist for a few years. Then I had a couples therapy session with the person I was dating. And then that couples therapist had asked to see me one on one. And so in 1 week, I had 3 therapy sessions. And that's when the light bulb went off. And I thought something is not working. And so
Someone should be figuring this out for me. Yes.
some type of healing is not happening.
Yeah.
But so that's when I started looking at what other healing modalities are out there. And that's when I learned about the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. And it started to make sense for me that, okay, on a level, I'm confident. I have a lot of self-worth. But what my subconscious is living out is a almost wounded child that doesn't believe she should be taking up space, that doesn't believe she has the right to speak up. And so as I did more research and hypnotherapy came across my path, in just the first session alone, because I was able, let's have that question, what is hypnotherapy? When I was able to just sit with myself and my thoughts with a focused intention on my thoughts so that kind of everything else in the room and the world slipped away, I was able to go back and look at kind of core memories that created this belief. For me, the session was on not being enough. So, what had happened in the movie of my life that had created this belief? So, at that point, I knew the pattern, I understood the pattern, and then within the session, you have a transformation, but very importantly, you have a recording that you have to listen to for at least 21 days. And so it's repetition, it's the positive imagery. Hypnosis is all about visual imagery because we think in pictures. Marissa Peer, who I studied under, she has this example that I've heard and I love. She'll say something like, don't think, whatever you don't think of an orange snowman. And that's what you start to think about because we think in pictures. So for me, it was the session itself. It was understanding what had happened and realizing that the things that the stories that I had created in my brain about why I wasn't enough actually had nothing to do with me. They were other people's stories or just instances that I made a huge deal in my brain. And once I listened to the recording every day, putting myself into hypnosis and really just repetitively going through the beliefs that I truly hold about myself, it definitely started turning the page. If you had said to me, honestly, Lisa, that like over 10 years ago, that I would one day be sitting here talking to you on a podcast, never in a million years would I have believed it.
Mm.
I used to get so nervous. I didn't stutter. I used to slur because I was
Mhm.
really nervous to speak. And so I thought if I just speak faster, it'll come out.
Sure. Yeah.
So I'm telling you, for me, it's changed my life.
So, with the hypnotherapy, and we'll go into this because I think there's a lot of myths that we want to debunk today about what
Sure.
hypnotherapy is and the hypnosis itself. However, for you, I'm sorry, you said your limiting belief was
That I'm not enough.
not enough.
I didn't
So,
know that though, I should say.
yeah,
When I approached my first session, I approached by just saying, I don't feel confident. Like
yeah.
my self-worth, like the value I hold for myself and my self-confidence, meaning how I show up in the world, they're not matching.
Yes. Okay. So you, and that's a good point, right? You come to this session and it's, I don't feel confident, right?
Mhm.
Is the thing. And then with your hypnotherapist, you dig into the emotion behind that. And then you find this core belief of, actually, I'm not good enough. That's my core belief. And that's probably why I'm not showing up confidently
Yeah.
or it's not matching. And so you create a new belief system within this session as well, right? Tell us a little bit about, because we find the negative belief, which is very important so that you can create this new belief system. What's really true about you, not
Mhm.
this I'm not enough, but what is really true about you. And what did you find? What did you find in your session with that?
What I found personally, and this is true for all hypnotherapy sessions, is perspective, right?
Mm,
So, one of the things that hypnotherapy allows you to do, in the past they used to call it suggestibility, but actually they've changed the name to
mm,
cognitive flexibility because it's not necessarily that you're suggestible. Children are suggestible. But in hypnotherapy, what you are doing is allowing yourself to feel something from a different viewpoint. And so for me, the core beliefs that I brought up that made me feel like I wasn't enough, we went through each of those memories. And in seeing it from a different perspective, in seeing it from, as I said to you, it actually wasn't my story sometimes. It was that person's story, but I'd made it my own. You're able to see and understand that you've carried a weight that's not even yours.
mhm.
And then in the session, you feel what it feels like. What would life be like if I didn't have this thought process, if I didn't carry this belief? And because that feeling is so good, Lisa,
Mhm.
when you feel that and you think, wait, I could live with this confidence, I could live with this self-worth. I think once you see that in your mind's eye, then the ball has already started rolling. There's no way of stopping it.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. And so you start to rewire your brain
Yeah.
into this new perspective, new belief system. Yeah.
Mhm.
So then you talked about a little bit that you listened to a recording. So was that of your own session
Mm.
or? is it just like the therapist recorded your session and then you played it for 21 days, or do they just give you some pieces for you to
Oh,
listen to over and over again?
these are such good questions. I think because I've been doing it for so long, I just assume. At the beginning of every session, I will talk to the client and ask them, what is it that you want to change? And then we spend a good amount of time talking about, okay, what does life look like? The changed life, whatever your presenting problem is, let's what life looks like without that problem. So even very simple questions, how do you talk? How do you walk?
Mm.
Let's go through your day because again, the mind works with images. So at the end of the session, I send you a recording. It is my voice, but it's basically getting you into hypnosis. And then from there, telling you all the things that you want to hear about yourself. And
Mm.
it's really important that they're in your words because that's what you want. So I really go through it. We really get detailed so that when you listen to that recording, that's everything you want to hear, everything you truly believe within yourself. And as it continues to pile on every day in terms of repetition, slowly, it's not even who you want to be, it's who you are.
I love that. I love that you do the recording and give it to somebody. How often do people come to see you then?
One of the phenomenal things about Marissa Peer's version of hypnotherapy, she calls it rapid transformational therapy, is that it's exactly that. It's rapid. So it is longer than your typical hypnotherapy session, but depending on what it is that you're trying to work on, it can be as short as one session or it could take up to three. But
Mhm.
the really wonderful thing is that when you get that recording, I've had clients myself, and I experienced this myself. Healing is a process, it's a journey. And so I've had clients message me months and months later and say, I just want to let you know that I still listen to that recording.
Mm.
Or sometimes if I'm having a little wobble, I'll go back to the recording that was made for me 10 years ago, and it's still just wonderful to go, oh, yeah, that's what I needed to hear.
Yeah, we all need reminders, right? We can all, so much comes at us every day. And even though we've rewired our brain, it doesn't mean we're not a little like sensitive to something that comes our way and that
Totally,
we might need just
totally.
some little reminders. So it's great that they have these recordings. I love that you guys do that in that program. And there
Mhm.
are different hypnotherapy programs, and not all of them do that. So I love
Mhm.
that. And yours is called, it's the symbols are RTT, right? Rapid
Mhm.
trans, say
Yes.
it again. Yeah.
So it's RTT stands for rapid transformational therapy because it is just that. It's rapid, it's transformational, but it's more than just hypnotherapy. Within the session, and the reason why it takes a little longer is that you have CBT, so there's cognitive behavioral therapy, there's NLP, so neuro linguistic programming. There's all sorts of different elements which really help you, as I said, recognize your pattern, know where it came from, and then change it to a new pattern that you want.
Yeah, I love that. Now, I do want to debunk a few things because when people
Sure.
hear hypnotherapy, and
Hmm.
I too, because I just started, we talked about this, I just started studying it myself and getting my
Yeah,
certification in a different way, but I think all is good. We're whatever
yeah,
kind you want, good. But there
absolutely.
is one, I think, thing people always like when they think of hypnosis, they're like, are you going to make me do things? Am I, are you putting me under? Am I going to even know what's going on? And the answer is
Yes.
you are going to totally know what's going on. And I think of it more as like a meditation versus
Yes.
like a hypnosis, because that's what it feels like. If you listen to a
Yeah.
Calm app or any of those meditations that are guided, that's basically
Hmm.
what it feels like, at least in my realm,
Absolutely.
that you feel like you're
Yes.
being guided into this meditation. And really, the core thing is that if you're relaxing,
Mhm.
then we can get out of the thinking mind, right? That's
Yes.
blocking all the things and thinking through all the things, and
Yes.
then get into that subconscious mind that
Yeah.
has these limited beliefs that are just stuck in there. And we're not overthinking. We just are kind of
Yes.
responding because we're in this nice, relaxed state. But that's all
Yeah.
it is. You, and when you're out of it, you might not remember everything because our memories are just terrible nowadays. But it's not because you weren't aware or in control.
Yeah.
You're fully in
Oh,
control the
you're
whole time.
fully in control, fully
Yeah.
in control. This is such, oh, you know, when I say that I'm a hypnotherapist and immediately people talk about stage hypnotherapy, Oh. But no, nobody's going to make, and even the people that are clucking like a chicken on stage, believe it or not, somewhere deep down, they want to go up there and entertain. So when you and I, for example, if you and I are having a hypnotherapy session, if your baby cried from the room next door, you could absolutely come into full awareness and go pick up your baby.
Totally.
And Marissa Peer also makes a joke that, if it was true that your hypnotherapist had complete control over you, all hypnotherapists would be these multimillionaires because they would be
So
getting
true.
they would be getting people to in under hypnosis send or transfer money. It's absolutely not true. You are fully aware of yourself. Actually, you're in a state of heightened awareness of yourself.
Mm,
The only thing that's altered is that you're not thinking about your to-do list, you're not thinking about anything other than you and your own awareness, and then obviously the focus that you have for the session, which is
mm.
such a beautiful thing. It's why when I was doing the talk therapy, it never led anywhere because it was constantly from my conscious mind.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and it's just stepping out of the way and just believing what comes up and just being in the moment with whatever it is. And it's funny because people will say, I have a limiting belief of I'm not enough, right?
Mhm.
And I'm pretty sure I know where that comes from, right? But
Mhm.
guarantee it comes, you'd be surprised that it's probably not coming from there because that's what happens every time. Someone's, wow, I would never have thought that incident
Yes.
caused
Yeah,
me to have that belief
absolutely.
pattern. And it's, yeah, you think, but that's
It's
that
beautiful.
conscious mind talking. And that's why being in that
Yeah,
relaxed state can actually maybe bring out something totally different and be the answer
absolutely.
that you're looking for. So cool.
Absolutely. I
Now,
will.
mhm,
So I'll add these two things, which I
sure.
find quite interesting. To your point, yes, I remember my first hypnotherapy session. One of my core memories that came forward, I hadn't thought about in decades. And so the fact that it was brewing in there to come forward was amazing. And then the second is when we talk about this recording, when we talk about hearing what you need to hear, when I was in the program and we were practicing on each other and bringing up things that we'd like to see change, one of the mini sessions that we did, I brought up that I would want to stop eating, like finishing off my kids' food, because there was just no advantage to it. I felt guilty to throw it away, but equally I didn't want to eat it. So there was this back and forth. And so I said to the hypnotherapist, this is something I want to work on. And I'll never forget that in the transformation and in the recording she made for me, she said, Alex, you are not a rubbish bin. And to this day, whenever they haven't finished a few bites or whatever, I just so easily throw it away now because I think, Alex, you're not a rubbish bin.
Sure. And you
And
can even say that in the moment, right? To
yes,
reinforce that,
yeah,
like a
it comes
mantra.
back.
Mhm.
Totally. And so when we talk about things that like limiting beliefs, they can be obviously quite deep. I'm not enough. I won't start that project because I can't, the success isn't available to me. They could be really debilitating, or they could just be really light. I want to stop
Mhm.
eating my kids' food. I want to be a bit healthier.
Yeah, exactly. And these are just things that are in our way from moving forward in whatever it is. So for you, not eating your kids' food, it might be a health thing, right? Or who knows, just a worthy thing. I'm worthy of just having my own meal, right? Like,
Yes, yes.
so,
Yeah,
um,
it was, for
mhm.
me, it was compounded. It was, I don't want to eat it, so why am I eating it? I think as moms, don't get me started. I don't believe in the whole pre-baby body thing. I think your body's
Mhm.
done this beautiful thing of bringing children into the world. You can aim for health, that's fine. But yeah, for me, it was coming from a place of, I don't even want to eat this. Why am I eating it?
Yes, yes. The mom fog. So, what can people do? What are some routines that are really healthy for people to start changing limiting beliefs? Like if maybe they haven't had a hypnosis session, which
Mm.
totally recommend. Yeah, not
Totally.
scary, lots
Yeah.
out there. And we'll give your information in a little bit. But maybe just as moving these limiting beliefs that they just know and maybe want to have a routine or something that would be positive for them throughout the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. My answer, and I know it's hard with moms, as much as you can, but don't feel guilty. Try to incorporate it into your routine. But the best way to try to access some subconscious things without without doing, let's say, like a full-on hypnotherapy session or something like that. It's as simple as journaling.
Mm.
When you sit and journal and you just let the words pour out onto paper, and I really do find that writing is much different than trying to type. The things that come out of you that you weren't expecting, that's from the subconscious. And so I find journaling to process the day to be beautiful if you can do it. I love journaling in the morning to set myself up for the type of day that I think I'm going to have. You can call it manifesting, you can call it confirmation bias. It sets the tone for how you're going to live your day. Now, do I journal every morning and night? No, I have two little ones, but in a perfect world, I know that's free and accessible and a wonderful way to start the healing process.
I love that. And it's so funny because I just told my daughter who reached out just the other day. She's in college and she had her friend with her and she needs to change her mental status or whatever it is. What should she do? And I said, you could just start by writing your own story every morning. Or you get up
Yes.
and you say, I'm going to get up, I'm going to catch that bus on time.
Mhm.
I'm going to get to my classes and they are going to be great. My seat will be perfect. I will understand the information, and you just
Mhm.
write your story. And I used to do this
Yeah.
every day. I've done it less and less, but it just
Ah,
reminded me that I should be doing it. I did it this
yeah.
morning because I
Yeah.
love it. And what you find also, if you just look back, is
Mhm.
like something happened in your story,
Mhm.
like that
Yes.
you wrote. Or you've
Yeah.
noticed it, and it
Yeah.
just feels so good. Yep,
Absolutely.
write your own
Absolutely.
story for the day.
And when life doesn't work the way that your story was meant to be written, I feel like because you started the day with intention, you're also grounded. You deal
Mhm.
with it better.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And when
Mhm.
it does, you notice it because you've said it out loud. And sometimes we can
Yes.
go through days and not notice, like you're in this funk, but you're like, wait a minute, all the things I said did happen. That's a good
Yeah.
day. We don't even notice that. So
Yeah,
it's so nice
totally.
to see.
Totally. And then it reinforces this idea that what I speak, whether I say it out loud or I write it on paper, it, what is that phrase about speaking things into existence? You
Mm,
have that power. We have it all day, every day.
yeah.
But most of us, what's one of the phrases that I heard recently that I just found so cringeworthy? Someone said to me, I'm bumbling along. And I thought, oh, no, we do not bumble. We
Yeah.
live with intention, and it makes such a difference.
Yes, totally. So tell us where the listeners can find you and what you offer.
Absolutely. So I offer all of my hypnotherapy sessions on Zoom. So no matter where my clients are, it's really wonderful that I can connect with them. And the easiest place to find me is on Instagram. So my handle is the word align,
Mm.
ALIGN dot Alix. And my name is actually spelled ALIX. But I'm there. And yeah, absolutely reach out if any of this sounded interesting.
Ah, love it. And we'll have that in the show notes so people can just click on them and make it easy.
Fabulous.
Now, what is one thing you want people to start doing after like listening to this whole podcast and going back to their
Ooh.
lives?
I feel like we should stay on theme and say, let's just try and journal tonight and see how it goes.
Yeah, start right now. After you shut
Yeah.
this, do it right now. No, depending not if you're driving and listening to this or
No, no.
but yeah, start journaling tonight. I like that. Yeah, and
I
just make
think,
it simple. Yeah.
yeah. And that's the thing. I think that healing and growing are in very simple steps. It's
Mm.
unfortunate that the health and wellness industry, it's multi-billion dollar right now. People make it into this big thing where you have to spend thousands in a 21-day program. And you can just start with the basics. The basics are free and they work really well.
Yes, great. Thank you so much for sharing
Of
your
course,
insights,
of course.
talking a little bit more about these belief systems and where they came from, and just all the things that hypnosis can do too, and make it
Yeah.
easy for us. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And I'm also really, I loved hearing your part of this journey as well.
Thank you. Yes, I'm new on the journey, so I loved your expertise for sure. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you want to learn more about Alix and all the things that she offers, just click on the link in the show notes. And until next week, keep carving out time for yourself and keep putting yourself on top of your to do list.